All right, today I'm joined by Randy Forcier. Jeremy is with CrossCountry Mortgage. He's kind of a legend in the industry, has a huge social media presence and following. We may be related. We met last week at Neel Dhingra's Forward event, and I'm super excited to have you on. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, what's up, brother? Literally, how you doing?
Seriously, dude, can you believe I still think it's funny at the event how we met up. Just to give like a quick recap on the situation, like obviously I told you I already followed you online, as many people do, and I'm sitting in the front row at the event, and I look up and I'm like, dude, I know this guy, and it's Randy Forcier, and then he just happened to sit right next to me, and then the rest is kind of history. So kind of funny how it all worked out.
It is, man. Super funny coincidence. I literally was sitting next to you, same last name, completely different backgrounds. Who knows? We have to be related in some way, shape, or form.
There's just not a lot of Forciers out there.
No, there's not.
And the way Neel said your name on stage was Forcier, kind of spiced it up a little bit. I'm thinking about making changes at this point. I don't know if I could pull it off.
Dude, I don't know, man. I was raised with two last names. It was either Forcier or Forcier. And whatever anyone said, my dad said, accept it. And I was like, all right, sounds good.
Cool. So honestly, it was awesome to meet you. It was one of the highlights of my week, or the weekend, I should say, at Forward. And I just thought it was a great event overall. What are your thoughts on Forward? Have you been going for a while? Is this like second time going, third time going?
Yeah, it's my third time at that event. I think it's absolutely fantastic. The reason I love it so much is that it attracts like high performers from all over the country. There was like instant connection because of people that have shared values around like growth, leadership, relationships, and everyone there thinks different. And that's just what I love so much about it. And people ask me all the time, they're like, why are you even in this group? Like, first of all, I'm not bigger than anything. Like, I never want to be the smartest person in the room, especially when it comes to things that I don't know a lot about. And every single breakthrough in my career personally, when I take a look at it, has been from getting around people that are just operating at a higher level, doing things different and being really open to that. And growth always compounds whenever you're intentional about your environment. So I'm super intentional about going to Forward. I absolutely love it.
That's one of the things I took away from it too, is just kind of getting in the room with those people, and you never know who you're going to bump into. Obviously, we bumped into each other. I met a whole bunch of new contacts and people just walking away from that weekend. So if you surround yourself with people like that, it's only good that can come out of it. So
yeah, man.
I'm super glad that I went, and looking forward to just going back and being part of the community. And there's a whole bunch of stuff to talk about when it comes to Forward and Neel's community that he fostered. But when did you first start following Neel? Was it one of those things where you went to Forward and then started following along, or you became aware of Neel and the next thing you know, you're going to Forward?
You know what's funny is that I started following Neel because people that I know, to be unnamed, by the way, were basically just like talking shit about him.
Really?
Like they were, and not like in a real, you know how it is, like when you see someone doing something that like maybe you want to do or you think's corny or you're like social media is stupid or whatever. And I had a couple people send me stuff going, hey, is this guy the real deal? Like, is this just like, bait and switch? Is this just like to get attention? And usually when people send me stuff like that, I like to actually pay attention to it so that I have a opinion on it. And I was watching, I was like, man, this guy just seems really good, like, and really authentic. And so I followed him for about a year before I reached out to him. And, I went and spent a whole day with him at his office. So that was prior to me even going to a Forward event. And I just got to know him a little bit. Yeah, this was like 4 years ago, something like that. And I just really liked what he was doing. And he challenged me, because I told him, I go, listen, straight up, like, I don't like social media. Like, I'm on social media. And he was like, interesting. So tell me why you don't like it. And I simply said, like, I just go on there and it's just like doom scrolling. I feel like it's a waste of time and people presenting stuff that they honestly don't know a lot about. And it bothers me. So all he said to me was something really simple that I think any good coach, entrepreneur, just good human being would do, is he said, well, have you ever thought about just like posting stuff that you would want to watch and that you really believe in? And I was like, God, it's so simple like that. How annoying. And I said, yes. And he was like, cool. I challenge you just to do that for a year. And so I did. So I did that. That was 4 years ago. And I haven't looked back since. And he's made a really huge impact on me for sure.
So I think I started following you maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I joined CMG. So I missed the prior to that conversation time, but it seems like your social media is super active, but you are posting personal stuff, business stuff, silly, funny type stuff. And I think I heard him say it at the conference too, just like posting things that you like. And when you do that, it's authentic and you reveal the real you. And so that's the thing that did it for you though.
That was it though. But what
Yeah.
you just said was it. I was like, yeah, I don't need to be like anyone else online. I just need to be myself. And maybe someone is one thing, meaning that someone's a sociopath and they're only one way. I think most people aren't. Like, I am not one thing. I am all kinds of stuff. And so I think learning that it's okay to be multiple things, right? And show multiple sides of yourself online is really important because that's how you are in real life. So when you meet me in real life, like it's the same me as you see online versus when I meet some people, which is what used to bother me so much, they were completely different than their online persona, right? Or online shtick or whatever you want to call it. So I think it's really important for anyone listening to this. Like, if you're afraid of social media or you just don't want to get started and you feel like you need to perform or be a certain way, dude, you don't. You literally just have to be you. And then over time, you get better at it by being you in front of a camera, and then you start learning more advanced things like how the messaging works better still being you, etc. And those things have taken me a few years like to get decent at, to say the least.
And I'm looking forward to improving that myself. I mean, developing that personal brand is like one of the things that I want to focus on coming out of Forward, joining the mastermind. So it'll be interesting to see how that develops for me, obviously being a few years behind you. But getting back to the Forward event, I think it's easy for people to see all the stuff that I'm posting online, maybe that you're posting too, and think like this, this event is just about social media. But there's so much more to it than that, I would say,
Dude,
right? Like,
100%, man. Like, some of my biggest takeaways is that your ceiling is always your systems, and that's something I already believed in. So it's a good reminder for me, right? Is that usually your systems, not your effort. Growth requires subtraction as much as it does addition.
did you just post something on that today? I feel like you
Yeah,
posted something on that today, and I thought it was
literally, yeah.
so true, though.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't just add on forever, right? There comes a point where you're like, okay, there are things that I'm doing that are not serving me. There are things that maybe the effort that makes me feel productive actually don't move the needle. And no one said that exactly, but that was a theme with a lot of the speakers, right? That I saw was getting really focused on like what actually works. Who cares how many views or how many calls you did or how many people you saw or talked to? It's like what actually moves the needle in your business. Like that's way more important than, just feeling good about yourself. So that was really, really big for me. And that, I think the quality of your relationships really determines like the quality of your business. So we have to always these were themes I took away from the event, right? Is that we have to always be top grading our relationships because relationships have seasons. And it is stinky to say that sometimes, but it's true because we don't want to admit that. But relationships do have seasons. Sometimes people aren't moving in the same direction as you all the time. People get hot and cold. People don't like you anymore. And that's hard to say out loud, or you don't enjoy working with someone anymore, or a type of individual. But those are all things that we really have to pay attention to of the quality of our relationships, not just in the moment and because you can potentially make money, but because are you in alignment moving forward? And that's how momentum is built.
So we're both part of the mastermind group, which I think is 125 people that meet on a every 2 week basis. I think we have our first official meeting later on today, but I think that that's what I'm looking for as part of that group. Like some people that are all moving in the same direction. Not that I don't have like great relationships locally and all that stuff, because I very much do, but I think that this is like the thing that take it to the next level, which I'm super
Yeah.
excited about. Yeah.
Yep. I agree, man. Having people moving in the same direction of you, that want to grow in the same way as you, that are open with no ego and happy to share exactly what they're doing. People genuinely trying to help each other win is rare. And when you are in a group, and this has been my experience as my second year in this mastermind group, that is exactly what it is. Like you actually have, let's call it 90% of the people that genuinely want to see everyone else win, not show off on like, this is what I'm doing, but actually wanting to help one each other. And it's hard to, in our industry, can be pretty lonely. I don't know if you agree with that,
Yeah, I do.
but I feel pretty lonely sometimes. Like in our industry, like no one understands the struggles you go through, like the things that you have to do, what you have to manage, growing a team, people, all the things. And when you're in a group environment where everyone is going through that, it's easier to be open and vulnerable. And when other people really want to help you, it's like a magic pill basically that you can take.
So I'm very excited about being part of that group. So one of the other takeaways that I had, and I think this is my 210th podcast that I've done, and had a bunch of business owners and people in all kinds of different
Dang.
industries. Yeah, dude, it's been 4 years now. So the thing that people always tell me, it's like I ask people like advice in business or, whatever it may be, a similar type question. And I've always gotten some variation of taking action, just do it, like just don't wait, break things, figure it out. Like that is the theme of my podcast over the past 4 years. And I really took that away from the event too. And it's not like I need to continually be told that, but it's just like, okay, I'm in a room of different people, like some of the best speakers in the world, Ed Milet, unbelievable guys. And they're all saying the same thing. So I walk away from the event thinking like, what are the handful of things that I've been pushing off doing? It's like, now it's just time to take action and do those things. So,
Yeah.
I'm re-energized.
That's a fact, by the way. I believe that in any business, you have to execute faster than you're prepared to execute. Over preparation and over feeling comfortable is one of the Achilles heel of growth, like for sure. And it's not like I haven't done that or don't do that still with certain things, but it's one of my superpowers, I must say. I am really good at being like, okay, yes, do this, go. How did it do? Just go do it right now. Don't waste the second to execute something, and don't waste a minute of your time overthinking that maybe you're not valuable enough to do this thing, or that you're not qualified to do this thing. Someone said this at the event, and I can't remember who it was. It was like, none of us are qualified to do any of this. It was along those lines, right? Like I'm butchering it. And I loved hearing that from like a mega speaker.
I forget who it was too, but I remember them.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
I'm paraphrasing it, but it's they're like, none of us. It was Layla Hermosi, I think, actually. She was like, we don't know what we're doing all the time. Like you execute, you try things, you see what works, but you just keep executing and pivoting over and over and over and over again. And I think there's so much strength in that. And I hope that anyone that hears this understands that like I'm not qualified even at whatever level I am, right? Like I'm not qualified to do all the things that I do. That's how you figure it out.
I was thinking about I did a post, you might have even saw it the other day, just about the brand phrase. I think it was Chris Doe that talked about identifying a few words about ourselves and coming up with a brand phrase. And I think the thing that I was kind of leaning towards.
Can I guess yours real quick? Because I think I remember it.
Yeah.
Tell me if I'm wrong. It was like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah. Like, let's figure it out.
Let's figure it out. Yeah.
I like the idea of like, let's. Neel talks about like, we're doing this together. You know what I mean? So let's is kind of we're going to do this just as a team type thing. But yeah, that's the thing that I was thinking, because I mean, there's so much of that in our job. There's solutions that we need to solve, that we need to figure it out all the time. And there's people come to us for different things, and we're constantly figuring things out. And I think that kind of parallels the idea of just taking action and just figuring it out from there too. So definitely felt energized about that leaving the event.
Yeah, dude, I love that, man. I love that tagline, by the way, too.
Yeah. So, but it's just stuff that gets you thinking about yourself, your business, the way you interact with people. It's just, I don't go to many conferences. You might go to conferences all the time. I think I went to Mastermind in Las Vegas maybe 10 years ago, saw Tony Robbins speak. I forget who else I saw speak, but like, I don't know that I've been to anything quite like that outside of like CMG related things or companies that I work for related things. And so it's good to refocus on some of the things that they talk about on stage.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, man. I'm a recovered like seminar junkie. Like for my first probably 10 years, not even 10 years, 8 years in the business, like I would go to everything, like all the time. But what I realized is that I was just going like to feel good. I wasn't going to like actually do and execute anything. And then I went on a 10-year run of not going to anything except for a specifically whatever coaching program I was involved in, like type of event. And that was it. And then now I've been reintroduced to going to lots of them, mostly because I'm speaking at lots of them. But I will tell you, Forward is legit the event. That's the event that I'm like, I don't want to miss it, like no matter what. And it's because of all the people and the environment that's created there.
I thought it was a home run. I thought he did a really great job. So the thing about Neel is, again, he's been doing this for 6 years, and he would, I think, sometimes show pictures of himself at his first event, or maybe even before he did an event. And, he very much has like a look and a brand, which is awesome. It works well for him. But I mean, he shows pictures of himself prior, all that stuff, polo shirts, no backwards hat, a room full of like 20 people on the first Forward, and like to see 1,000 people there and what it's become, it's truly a testament to him. And I saw him, he spoke at a CMG event back in February. First time I was ever introduced to him, did not follow him before. but I thought he crushed it. I left that event being like, Neel Dhingra's the man. I'm following along everything he does. Next thing you know, I'm on webinars. Next thing you know, I'm in Vegas, and now here we are on a podcast. So it's just funny how it goes, man. But I'm glad to be along for the ride, and it's been great.
That's so cool, dude. I absolutely love that, man. And yeah, you talk about like looking back, you just like made me think, and I just pulled up like YouTube for a second, like to look at like when was my first video? Like what did it look like? And oof, I'm just looking at it right now, and I'm gonna make a post on it now just because you said that. Like it is beyond cringy, and I hope that is motivating to someone. Like it still only has 86 views and it was posted in 2010. Okay, like so it's like it was not great, but I did it. So that shows you also just a takeaway I hope for you or anyone is that people always just see what chapter you're in right now, right? Like, and they're like, oh, man, I don't think I could do that, or like, God, that person looks so good or comfortable or whatever it is. Bro, go back and look at my 2010 February 2nd first video, and it is not great at all, which means that I started at chapter 1 just like everyone else. And that was 16 years ago, man. So think about that's that whole timeline. It takes so long to build something that is great or that you're proud of, and it should. And so, you know, that's just an encouragement to anyone that sees this or listens to this, is that like, don't compare your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 14. Don't
I
do
feel
it.
that way about a video I shot last week. You know, like there's just, I think everyone thinks the stuff they're putting out there is cringe. And I think Neel said everything's cringe until it works. And that kind of hit me, you know? So, and then the other thing too, like, and we'll move on from the conference in a second, but I posted in my stories today, but like Ed Milet talked about something about like just how we're so worried. Like we think everyone's like judging us or worried about us, but everyone's so busy like worrying about themselves. Like it really doesn't matter. Just again, getting back to taking action, posting stuff, improving, all those things. But it's a head game, and sometimes you need people like you and me, or people that are part of our mastermind to help kind of push us to that next level.
Yeah, 100%, man. I'm just glad that I met another Forcier there.
Wow, dude. So, anyways, can we talk about your history in the mortgage business? Because you've been
Dude, we
doing it
can
a long
talk.
time, dude.
Yeah, we can talk about whatever you want, brother.
CrossCountry mortgage. Have you been
Yeah.
at CrossCountry the whole time, or when did you start working at
No,
CrossCountry?
no one works at any company the whole
Well,
time.
dude, I mean, I don't know if you've been there for a long time. How long has it been?
I've been there for 8 years currently, so I've had a long stint for sure.
24 years in the business?
Yeah, 20. Oh my God, it's so weird saying. No, I've been in the business since the end of 2005, so 21
Okay,
years. Yeah.
21 years.
Yep.
What made you get into the mortgage business?
I think like most people, it was misguided, but you know, it got me in. Was I wanted more freedom. I was a personal trainer and I was young, right? I was in
Yep.
my, how old am I? I'm 46, so I
Your
was
20s?
24, 25, okay, at the time. And you know, I didn't want to be tied to a job forever. That I had the predication of me getting compensated was I had to be somewhere one-on-one with someone. If they canceled, I didn't get paid. If I took a vacation, I didn't get paid, et cetera, et cetera. And I was working like 12 hours a day. Like it was just a lot. And I wanted more leverage and freedom. And I wanted to make more money. I wanted to make more income. I wanted to help more people. And I just drew a parallel one day to what I was doing in the fitness like industry and realized that it's basically the same thing in the mortgage industry. And when I usually say that, most people are like, dude, what are you talking? And I go, no, seriously, from a process standpoint, right? So if I was training you, or let's say an elderly lady, you both have goals, they're completely different, right? You both have hangups or things you have to overcome that are completely different. And my job in fitness was to take that person's goal and with where they're at and create steps and coach them through their hangups, things they had to overcome. Maybe that was drinking too much bourbon every night. Maybe that
Yeah.
was like, I hate protein, or I'm intimidated at the gym and I'm afraid of the smell of sweat, or whatever it is, right? And I had to coach them through that to help them get to their goal. And I just drew that parallel one day. A light bulb went on where I was like, whoa, person wants to buy a house. They all have their unique circumstances. Someone needs a down payment. They have to get their credit score higher. They don't have any credit trade lines, whatever it is. And I have to coach them through those and help them get to that goal of buying a house. So that's really the light bulb that went on for me. And that's what made it easy for me to transition, is that rather than making it harder of like, oh, this is a whole new industry, I'm like, this is just a new medium with doing the same process with people. And I just like light switch and I ran at it.
Perfect. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
perfect, dude. Our job is so much problem solving. Kind of getting back
Yes.
to what I was saying before. Sometimes people come up to me like, "Oh, you must be really good with numbers, right?" Like, it's like, yeah, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, computers do all the numbers, but it's like solving problems, communicating that with borrowers, realtors, interested parties, and kind of helping people reach their goals. So it's just like you nailed it. So that is the skill that I think separates the best people in this business from just the average people. So,
Well,
did
that's
you have a
like
mentor that got you in?
but that's why you do well, man. That's why you like numbers can be learned. Like equations can be learned. Like those are things that can be. I mean, I believe everything can be learned. I'm kind of an
Yeah.
optimist, by the way.
Yeah.
But like numbers specifically, when you're talking about mortgage finance, et cetera, can be learned quickly, I think, by anyone. Like I really believe that those other things, those soft skills like that you have, you're like really interpersonal. It seems like you're a deep feeler from the little that I know
Yeah.
about you. Like those type of things are skills that if you already have, you can do really well in any type of problem solving people business.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have a mentor early in the business or someone that pulled you in, or you're just like, I'm going out and I'm doing this?
Oh yeah, dude, I've had so many people help me in my life, which is why I love helping and sharing and
Yeah.
like with other people. So I would say my first one wasn't a great one, like at all in retrospect, of course, but I'm still grateful for it because like she gave me a chance, right? But she was kind of rough and gruff, and she was one of my personal training clients. And she said she would never hire me. And I always had a chip on my shoulder. So I was like, oh, you won't hire me? Well, you're definitely going to hire me then. Like, I'm going to figure it out, like how to make you hire me, which isn't the healthiest thing back then. But I did, right? So when I bothered her for about a month and a half. And then finally she was like, if you fire all your clients, and I ran a pretty good personal training business as a young person, then okay, like I'll hire you. Almost as if like you're never going to do this, right? You're going to get rid of your business. And so literally I fired everyone except for 5 people. And I charged those 5 people 3 times. That was my pitch was, hey, I'm raising my rates 3x. And 5 people said yes. I got rid of every single other person, went to her, said, hey, you're fired unless you want to pay X. And when can I start? And she said, okay, you can start answering phones. And that was it.
It's great. That's a great start to the business. Then it's obviously evolved a ton to the point that, are you still originating,
Yeah.
or are you just managing and coaching? So all of those things at this point, originating,
I'm
leading a
doing all of
team.
them.
Yeah. Coaching.
Yeah, I have a personal production team, which is me generating the leads, my relationships, my database, realtors, financial planners, past clients, current clients, all of that. I have a small team that assists me in that. There is 3 of them that help me with that on my personal production side. And then, yes, I run a fairly large branch. And then I have multiple branches outside of that I lead and teach them like how to run it, how I have learned to run it the right way over a long period of time. So yeah, I've like three different jobs.
It's awesome. You're in wine country, right? Or Northern
Yeah.
California?
Yeah. I live in Sonoma County, California, heart of wine country. So it's a pretty interesting market too, because people always say, oh, why it must be great, doing just multi-million dollar loans. And I'm like, no, dude, I live in a farming community. So
Oh,
it's
really?
like, well, yeah, I mean, and I
Yeah.
understand what people think, right? Is that, yes, it is an expensive place, but there is a very large gap between second home estates where most people, like 38% of all transactions are cash, for example, where I live. That's pretty high. And
Yeah.
then you have, I do $300,000 condos, $280,000 condos. And yes, I do $1.5 million loans, $2 million loans sometimes. But my average loan amount is $474,000 last month. So pretty typical around coast, high cost area.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, in Maine, I think ours is probably right around 400. But yeah, I would have thought higher than that. But I mean, that's, I guess, the misconception that most people have. How has your business changed in the past 5 years, just with how it's been run? Anything special?
Yeah, it's been pretty brutal, being totally honest. If you think about the last 5 years, we went through what I call the unicorn years, of course, of like COVID, right? Where it had to hire and hire again, hire 4 different times, like within a 2-year time frame. And then when that emergency brake gets pulled, when you just don't have the volume to support it anymore, you have to cut a lot. And that's the hardest thing on the planet, is like letting people go, cutting down and scaling appropriately for businesses. It's my least favorite part of being a entrepreneur, whatever you want to call it, like being accountable to dollars, right?
Yeah.
Of like what's coming in. So it's really, really hard because, you get used to supporting a lot of people's lives. And I love that part of having team members, seeing them grow, seeing them earn income and have a great life and pour into them. So that was 2022 was the hardest year for me for sure, just on a personal emotional standpoint of like I sat down everyone when things started to turn, right? Interest rates started going up, leads, or I should say qualified leads, people couldn't buy what they wanted to, whatever, refinances dried up. That was a really, really tough year. I sat everyone down and said, hey, I have, $1 million in my P&L and I'm willing to burn it all over the next year to give this a chance for us to pivot, right? And for us to figure out a different way to generate more in a different market. And I burned through that money in 6.8 months, man. It didn't even last the year. I mean, it was brutal. Now, looking back, I probably should have made changes faster. But once again, I cared so much about giving it the opportunity, right? To change and to pivot and to make something of it. Now, the good thing that happened with that is that I was so open with everyone when I did have to make the cuts 3-4 different times. No one was upset. Literally everyone, I had someone thank me and tell me that I should stop feeling so bad because I was a mess letting this individual go. I was just I'm so broken up about it. And they were like, hey, you did everything and I appreciate you. So I learned a lot of lessons through that. Now, what has changed is that I'm way leaner than I was, from 2020, 2021, and even 2022 on. We're learning a lot how to do more with less, getting rid of a lot of stuff that we were doing that was just extra and over the top that we didn't really need to do, and just focusing on clarity, connection. I use way more technology than I've ever used in my life, not to automate things, but to really foster better connection and clarity for clients on the other side so that we can be more effective with them.
I mean, if you're not doing that, you're obviously falling behind. So it makes sense that you would have some success with that. If you were starting from zero today, what would you do as a loan officer?
Man, if I was to do it all over again, I would have been a team member first, honestly. I would have been on a high producers team, sought that person out, and either been a junior loan officer or a processor or something like that to get real technical skills. What I see as definitely an issue and where the separation right now in our industry, I don't know if you agree with this, but I feel like the people that are doing more are doing way more, and the people that were in the middle are just continually doing way less and really struggling. And I see the gap just getting pretty big between the well-to-dos and the strugglers. And because I've monitored this for a few years now, even with people that work for me, is that the people that really are doing the best have technical skills, actually, in loans. They understand guidelines and loan programs really, really well. And back in the day when I first started, my first half of my career, you didn't really need to know much, honestly. You had to just generate a lead, put it in and then figure it out, right? Throw it against the wall. Things are way more difficult right now in 2026 as far as qualification. The amount of loan programs that we all have access to is absolutely insane. And placing the person in the right program is extremely important. So if I had to do it all over again, I would link myself up as a team member with the goal of, hey, after 1, 2, or 3 years, then I would go out on my own. That is one thing I would do over is pay the price of getting a really good education from someone who's really good at their job for the first few years.
What an interesting thing, though. So with that said, I don't personally see that happen too often.
Yeah.
People don't join on a team. A lot of times the people that are joining teams I see are the people that are kind of falling behind on the list and are looking for a exit strategy or something.
That is correct.
So
yeah,
that's such good perspective though, just to kind of learn and then get a basis and then build from there. So what are loan officers wasting too much time doing nowadays?
I love this question, man. I have this question's too. This is a whole hour podcast on this question. So I'm going to try to summarize it as best I can, because I do have the benefit of I've coached hundreds and hundreds of loan officers over the last decade. And so I have lots of information and things that I've seen. I think number one is that people are way too emotional, period. So I know that's not a tactic or a thing that they are physically doing, but they are just so emotional about how they are perceived, how they are being liked, and they're just trying to like someone. And we need to realize that we are a guide. We are an advisor. People are going to be irritated sometimes. They're going to be upset. They're not going to understand. They're going to be mad about things that have nothing to do with you, and you can't take things so personally. And that was one of the biggest leapfrogs, I would say, in my career a long time ago now, probably in like 2012, 2011, where I was just like, hey, I'm being way too emotional in my business. And my job isn't to be emotional. My job is to be the calm guide for the other person. My job isn't to make the person like me. It's to make them have clarity and feel heard and make them understand. So I would say that people are always, this is going to be a forever problem because we're humans, is being less emotional, not making it about you ever, like making it about the other person on the other side. I think that people talk way too much in our industry. I know that we're on a podcast, so I'm talking a lot right now. You're interviewing me. You would be shocked if you listened to a lot of my calls or Zooms with client. I think I talk like 20% of the time, like ever. So talking too much, not being willing to get out of their comfort zone, not being willing to be consistent is a huge issue. When you are building relationships, you need a lot of contacts, and you have to do that consistently for a few years before you start building momentum in relationships. People give up too fast. They just do. So those are just some common themes that I always see. And then the big one, if you really want to grow, is that you have to hire people to help you. Like you need an assistant at some point. If you want to grow again after you're doing X amount of loans, you're probably going to need another assistant to do something else and take stuff off your plate. So transitioning from salesperson to originator to leader to manager, those are all skills that have to happen over time. And if you don't want to accept any of those responsibilities, you're just going to stay where you are.
And that is such great advice. The emotional piece. I think that that's something that comes with time in the business too. For most people,
Sure.
like, when you're earlier in your career, every deal matters so much and every relationship matters so much, and you put so much weight on things and you worry so much. Like I have found over my career that I'm able to separate those things a little bit better. But it is great advice. The sooner I think people figure that out, the better off they'll be. And then the assistant piece. So I went 95% of my career with no assistant just because of my circumstances, and I just got one earlier this year, and it has been an absolute game changer. And I can really only look forward. But I mean, that is one of the regrets of my career, not getting an assistant sooner, because it has been an absolute game changer. I've just seen my business explode through having that. So anyone that's on the fence about it, worried about the basis points, worried about the money, it's like gets back to just do it and figure it out, because it's a freaking absolute game changer.
Brother, people ask me that all the time. They're like, when should I hire? Or they'll come to me, let's say that they work for me, and they're like, I want an assistant. I'm like, awesome, you can pay for it. And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, do you think that like everyone just pays for everything for me? Like, or that like, by the way, happy to pay for it. Here's how it works. When you do X amount, like this covers it, etc. And I just think people are so afraid to invest in themselves. And I understand that. It's a fear. Fear rules everything. That's part of the emotional thing I was talking about, is that fear of loss, fear of this isn't going to work out, fear that I'm not going to be able to make enough money, right? All these different things. But the reality is if you can double your production and you're spending 10, 15, 20% of, let's say, your income or revenue on people taking 50+% off of your plate of things that you don't need to do, you just doubled. So you're making like way more, and you can help so many more people. So like stop trying to close loans, like start becoming an advisor and an educator, like build trust before talking products. Relationships like become the business, but you can't do that if you're forced to do everything all the time. Stop doing everything yourself, man. If you hear this, stop doing it by yourself. Just
100%.
knock it off.
I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah.
A couple more things. AI in the mortgage business specifically, is it a game changer or a distraction?
Both, depending on the individual.
Yeah. I can see
So
that.
for me, it's a game changer.
It has
For
been.
most people, I think it's a distraction.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, there's a reason I ask. I can absolutely see it be a distraction if you spend so much time learning about it, trying to implement things. I mean, it's great to do those things, but like there's a trade-off between the time and what you get out of it. I'm not sold on it personally. Part of what I'm hoping to learn in the mastermind group is ways that I can really incorporate it in my business that is a game changer, but I'm still kind of 50-50 on it. It's obviously amazing technology in general.
Well, I think it's the biggest game changer in my career, personally, honestly, like from a connection standpoint. Now, once again, it's like, well, what are you using and how are you using it? That's really important. Like that's why it can be such a distraction. I think that, people that learn how to use it to create clarity for customers, to create connection for customers, to summarize really complicated things and make them simple. Those are the ways that I'm using it, right? I'm not using it to make like weird videos or anything like that. Like I'm not using it for entertainment value. I'm literally using it for the benefit. So ask yourself this before you, as you go down your journey, Randy, like if you're looking into something, ask yourself before you start using it, hey, how would this benefit my customer? How would this benefit my client? What would I want as a client? I want more clarity. I want things to be more simple. I want more predictability. Those are the types of AIs that I'm using. And I think if we go in with that mindset and asking ourselves that question first, then we'll choose to use it correctly versus just a complete waste of time.
There's so much information out there. It's a little overwhelming, honestly.
Dude, it's way overwhelming, bro. Like, yeah, it's no doubt.
The YouTube videos, the stuff that you see online about it, and plus things are always evolving so fast too. It's hard to stay on top of it, but I'm hopeful that I can implement it a little bit better in the years to come. Biggest opportunity in the next couple of years, business wise.
I think that biggest opportunity personally is multiple things, and I jotted down a few things here. Like one is that I think that an AI-enabled advisor, what we were just talking about, I think is very important. Learning how to use certain tools to communicate better is really, really important. People, want to know you before they need you. So I think that content creation, which is why I'm doing it so much, is I've had people contact me and say, hey, you referred to me by X person, but I also have seen randomly a bunch of your stuff in my feed. Like, I think that is really important. I also think that attention is today's currency. And I think that outside of just content from an attention standpoint, doing live events and in-person community stuff is so underrated. And I think as people go more and more down the distracted route of AI and marketing and stuff like that, people crave in person more than ever. I read some article the other day where it was like, these people made $50 million in revenue or whatever based on throwing all these high-end in-person World Cup events and meetups, et cetera, just over the past month or whatever it was that the World Cup was going on. Nuts, right? And it's because people crave in person. They crave that connection now that we've gotten pretty disconnected from it. So it's learning how to use it to create connection and then really doing more in person more than ever, more Zoom more than ever. That is like a new in person as well. As much in person connection that you can do, I think is going to be the biggest game changer, like an opportunity over the next 2 to 3 years.
I think that's so awesome that you said that. My partner and I are making an effort to host like events, referral partners, friends, get people together. I've been making attempts to teach CE classes for realtors, kind of get realtors, and a million things like that. So I think anytime you can get in front of people and create some fellowship, I think that's a great way to go. So I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Last question I had for you, and I hope you say what I think you're going to say, but what's the one habit every day that you never skip?
Ooh, I have many. So I have a little list of 8, but I do. They're called my non negotiables, like
awesome.
everyday period. So it's like a gratitude journal. Tell my wife I love her, 100 ounces of water, exercise. I do a ruck walk every single day. So it's a weighted backpack vest. I'm on day 562 in a row.
I saw.
Contact 5 past clients, contact 5 referral partners, connect with 5 loan officers that work within my organization. Like this, and I have 2 more. I have a list somewhere right here, but I do them every day. Like it's just a couple of really simple non-negotiables every single day. Nothing crazy, things you can control, right? Those are things that I think are so important to do every single day. And you have to make your own list of like, hey, what are my non-negotiables? And mine started with 3 things and then it got up to 8, right? So it's, they're things that usually take me, 5 minutes or less outside of my exercise, right? But things that you can do quickly, that you have a sense of accomplishment, right? And that all move the needle in your life from a business standpoint as well as a personal standpoint. You have to have both and they have to be integrated every day.
And they can change too. You can add, like you said, you added stuff and you can maybe remove stuff at some point, but I like that you have that many of them. The ruck piece, I think we talked a little bit about it in Las Vegas, but you always are posting online. And I think it's super cool. I don't want to say you motivated me to get a ruck backpack, but I definitely got one a couple years ago. And I definitely was aware of the little journey that you're on. And it's a cool thing that you do. It's kind of like a you thing, I think, right? Like people must think of you and rucking.
Dude, I have people text me all the time like, did you ruck today? I'm like, of course I ruck today. Like it's and how that came up, by the way, is I had a weighted backpack vest. So I was already doing it just on and off. Sometimes I do it 2 times a week. Sometimes I do it once a week. Sometimes I do it 4 times a week. And I noticed that a friend and I, at the beginning of the year, last year, we both were like 5 days in a row. And we were like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we just did 365 days in a row? Like committing to one discipline that's super simple. It doesn't have to be a certain amount of time. It doesn't have to be an hour a day. If you have an hour, do an hour. If you have 45, do 45. If you have 15, just go do it. I have done this ruck backpack walk at a party when I realized it was 11:30 p.m. and I was in my car and I was like, dude, I got to put it on, just walk around for 15 minutes around these people. So it's just creating like something you commit to doing every day, no matter what, with no excuses. And it's changed the way I do all kinds of other stuff, but just by having that one simple discipline. So finding one thing you can do every day, and specifically the ruck for me, has been a game changer mentally in everything else I do as well.
But it's also it's like a personal thing about you too. You know, like when you meet new people that have an awareness of you online, they like, it's something to talk about. It's something like you're a real person. You do this thing. It's, you know, so we're always trying to create our unique brand, and I think that that's part of your brand. Other thing you mentioned, bro. Calling past clients, referral partners, dude, that's like the name of the game, man.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like,
yeah.
Neel might have said something along the lines of like, you know, it's something like everything you want in life is on the other side of the thing you don't want to do, and like that's the thing that no one wants to do, and like. I mean, honestly, I could be better about it myself, but like the fact that you're doing that, I mean, is a testament to why you're so successful, I'm sure.
Well, we could all be better about. I could be. The word better is like one of my favorite words, by the way. Better is what drives me. I know I could be better in everything forever, by the way. There's no end to it. So that doesn't overwhelm me. Like thinking about that, that excites me. I'm like, dude, there are no final level, final boss, like that you play a video game and you have the last person you're going to conquer. It doesn't exist when you're thinking about growth. We can always be better in everything. I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I make mistakes all the time, but I know that I can always be better. And I find comfort in that. I don't find that if you're listening to this and like you find that to be overwhelming or it gives you anxiety, you just have to reframe it. Rather than be like, oh, I'm not where I want to be. I'm just so excited that I have so much more to go and I can always be so much better. Like that, it's just reframing how you think about it. But yeah, man, better is like one of the best words in the human language, in my opinion.
Love that, man. I think that's a great way to end it. So, dude, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and connecting, man. I'm so glad that we got a chance to meet up and become friends. And I'll look forward to staying in touch. And thanks again.
Yeah, man. Love you, man. Have a great day.
Appreciate it, dude.